Hello and welcome to Be Powerful with Liz and Lee. It's a new day and we're so glad you're here.
So you can expect to hear candid conversations on what it means to be powerful. Live authentically, live in the midst of ups and downs, productively, and above all else, joyfully.
We are so thankful for you, our community of listeners, and we hope you enjoy today's show. Hi, Liz.
Hi, Lee.
How you doing?
I'm a little jet lagged. How are you?
Yeah. I'm actually doing okay. Sorry, but we've been 48 hours home from our Italian adventure, and it's been a fun re-entry. We returned home. It was my son's 16th birthday.
Oh, he's got wheels.
Oh, baby. So after 10 hours in the air, we celebrated with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then yesterday, I spent all day at the DMV, which is what you do when you go to the DMV.
Oh,
so,
you got to tell him what you did, though.
I will. It's typical. It's just so typical.
It kind of is.
Before their 16th, a few months out, you have to reserve an appointment to get your license, and you just give them your information. And I did. And I'm like, yes, that Monday at 1, we will be there. I'd screenshot them the information, confirmed. So we show up at the DMV and they're like, no appointment. You're not in our system. So I look back at the screenshot and my phone number was incorrect. So I'd entered that wrong like a champion. So I never got the text to confirm. So I never had an appointment.
Can I just
Go
jump
ahead.
in here? This is one of Lee's check your box and run. I'm just sorry. You just like check boxes and you're like, it's good enough. There's a number in there. But you got it done. You didn't have to stand in line.
We
but what,
got
5
it
hours?
done. A couple. I iced the Italian tan with a little bit of a
We got a tan, right?
redneck shoulder burn waiting out there.
We tried. And we talk a strong game of health because we are healthy people.
Correct.
But we got legit tans in Italy.
We got vitamin D and we wore our sunscreen and that's what happened.
So you got a little aging of the skin. No worries. We just stay out, we'll be good. And I'm wearing a jacket
because in other news, did you have to deal with when you got home?
Yeah, I came home and the air conditioner was broken. And so we've been gone for a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It works on the bottom floor, but not the floor we sleep on, which is the second floor.
It's a little toasty.
And so it's freezing down here so that all the air will go upstairs to the second floor. We're literally waiting on the heating and air conditioning man to come and replace for, just a small amount of money. Oh my God. So expensive to
cut
replace.
the trip short by about a week to pay for that, but that's okay.
I'm glid I didn't know that before we left.
No kidding.
Yeah, we might have had to like skimp on some things, but
what, like food and beverage?
Yeah.
Nope.
Did we tell them about we did the whole podcast about the trip, right?
Yeah. While we were there.
That
was last week.
Did we tell them about how we were going to drop like $10,000?
I think we did. I don't want to tell that story again.
Yeah, I know, because it makes it sound like we're wealthy and we're not that wealthy.
No, yeah, we did. We did.
Okay, so
I think we're good.
We'll skip the part about we were willing to leave this place we disliked so much and drop $10,000 just to get out of there. But
ridiculous.
Then it worked out beautifully. So when you travel, give it a minute.
Give it a minute.
Before you throw that credit card out there like you are, the Roosevelts or somebody.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So we are back. We are re-entryized because that's a new word. I've taught a couple classes.
I taught a class today.
Yeah. I'm just sweating like a maniac. I'm not used to this heat either.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. The weather, what are you going to do? The weather. It's funny. I love that. Going back to Italians, they're like, they don't talk about the weather. It's just hot there. What are you going to do about it? How much time do you want to spend talking about the weather and the heat and the humidity? However, since we're on the subject, we are looking for a villa near Cortona because my hair does better.
Right.
It's like
you said my hair's puffy, and I said, let's just go back to Italy. Your hair will be good. It's worth the cost of a villa in Cortona. I wish that I would have traveled abroad in school had I had that opportunity. Maybe I did. I didn't. I didn't choose or ask to go. But
you did. Oh no, you did that little week. See Europe in a day.
Yeah, that was the high school history trip. That was my first trip to Europe. But we ran into these cute girls from the University of Georgia in Cortona, and they were so. Maybe we talked about that in the last podcast. I don't know. The trip is over. Let's move on.
Let's move on. We're jet lagged, and so we decided what a perfect time to podcast. Plus, we've got 2 guests on hold with a third,
right?
Possibly, and we can't seem to schedule anybody, mostly because we're never here.
Yeah,
right?
But we're here now.
We're here now.
And
so we know we've promised you a couple of people, and it's still just us,
Here we are again.
We're back in our blue room.
Right.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a real while. And I would just like to note real quick before we do move on, how I said it, or, last week. Look at you with your jacket. That's why she's laughing, trying to flail it about. Anyway, at the end of last week's podcast, you mentioned the previous podcast about abortion and had a lot of nice things to say. And I think even upon our return, you've continued to get a lot of support and love, and just, I think that's appreciated and important. And no matter what the topic is, letting people know that you've impacted them in a way and that you feel seen and heard because of it is really why we talk about anything.
Yes, it is. And I'm glad you brought it up, because I had a client come up to me right after you taught your class this morning, and the minute she opened her mouth, tears fell down her face. And she said, I haven't even listened to the podcast yet. She goes, but by the sheer fact that you were willing to put yourself out there on that, she goes, and I promise I will listen, but I'm going right now to volunteer.
Wow.
To help people in need that are with unwanted pregnancies. I can't talk. So if you haven't listened to that podcast, it was the hardest one I've ever done. I also believe it was the most important one we've ever done. We're in a time of real scary stuff. People are taking control of women's bodies, and we should stay in control of our bodies. That's the way we feel. If you don't agree with us, we got it. And if you don't want to listen to our podcast, we hear that too.
Right.
But we have had nothing but incredible. I'm getting messages from people I don't know at all. People that are coming, to me from all over the place about, and to you too, about this podcast and how much they appreciated me speaking out and hoping that they can do something. But Lee and I have we have a platform, and so we chose to use it, and we'll continue to do that.
Right. And I think the most important thing about that is we don't pretend to be experts on things we're not. We voice our opinions and our beliefs. We share our stories. And I think if we don't do that, then we're losing the whole point of what it means to be a human, and especially an American, where we're a melting pot of different values and beliefs. And if we just all have to stay on one track or one belief, or all have to believe the same things as other people, then where is the beauty and the creativity and the
spirit of
the
America?
Spirit, right? And so it's not about do what we do. It's not about I'm telling somebody else to do. It's about what we
telling
believe.
Your story.
And it's valuing that people have experiences, and all of them are worthy of sharing.
Exactly. And all of us are worthy of our voices being
heard.
So you might not have a podcast, but speak out, whether it's a volunteer or just speaking to your mate or your children.
Right.
Use your voice. It doesn't matter which side of the coin you're on.
Right.
Just use your voice and find your power in your own voice, and you will feel free. You will be free. And you will be amazed at how people respond once you start acting out of your authentic self. When you start to speak your truth, even especially when it's scary, you will be empowered by the people that will respond to you shockingly.
Right.
Because people respond to truth. They really do.
That's true.
They fall in line to fear, but they respond to truth. And we have, as a group, I see it in our community and I see it in our nation, have fallen in line and following a fear path that is taking all of us in a bad place.
And I think really to round that out, not just speaking your truth or your place of authenticity, but also on the opposite of fear, from a point of love, that attacking and anger towards other people. There are productive ways to work out our differences, and that when you do come from a place of sharing or anything, I'm just saying, I think it's important to work from a place of love and kindness.
Of love and kindness.
And empathy.
And not to go back to Italy, but we'll go back to Italy again because on the very
Why
last
not?
night, I'm sorry, we have to go back to Flavio. We sat with the manager of our final hotel, which we'll go back and stay. Tell him the name of this hotel.
Hotel de Ricci.
Oh, God, it's so nice. This is a little boutique hotel. But the manager met us as we came in our final night, and he poured a glass of champagne, and we all sat down together, and we just started talking about the world and what's going on. And he's a Roman.
Right.
And think of the Romans, the Italians, the Vatican is in Rome, everyone in Italy you would think is Catholic. His second or third paragraph of talking to us was like, what's going on in America?
Right.
I mean, we're all Catholics here, and we think y'all are crazy for taking away a woman's right to choose. And I was just like dumbfounded in a way, weren't you?
Yeah, it's just not really expected to hear that, but I don't think many of the European, I don't know. I'm not going to.
We haven't.
I don't know.
We don't know.
I'm not going to speak to that.
But it was interesting. And that's the other thing about travel, and we'll just stick on it for a minute, because having a different point of view, and everybody we talk to, and Lee and I, especially Lee, she talks to everybody, okay? But I mean, you're a good influence on me too. We just really open up, and people come and talk to us, right? And they just, we had these great conversations sometimes with people that own wineries or have restaurants or...
You're funny. I don't know why you're cracking me up.
It's
no, I just mean, what's the point? Like, we could travel anywhere together and be anywhere in the world together and be able to just talk to one another and be with each other all day long. So that's beautiful. And when you get to be in another place with other people, it's just, I think, so interesting to learn about other people and their stories. I don't think that's some special gift. I mean, I think that's the point of the world.
I think that's the point of travel. And okay, I want to go to one flaw that Lee has. It's this one flaw. She only
can't wait for this
one flaw. And it's, when you're in a conversation with someone and you really want to talk to just each other and your partner, just as those people get ready to walk away.
You've already told this story.
I know I've told this story, but it needs to be told again because
Why?
She always goes, and another thing, what about the weather in China?
No.
Or something. Okay.
Well, more personal and thoughtful than that.
I know. But you always bring them back with it. Finally, I'm like, they left. That's great. Let's have some fun. And you always bring them back. But this time I did it.
You did it. You did.
I did it maybe once or twice. Right?
Yeah.
That's good, right?
Yes.
So it's a flaw plus a plus.
I wouldn't call it a flaw. It's a trait that I have, that when you are having your attention span done and you're ready to move on.
Which is short.
Yes. I'm still interested in hearing about whatever I want to hear about.
I know. Okay. So we did talk about that. So anyway, we're glad. We're glad to be back in our blue room.
Yes.
We're glad to be back in America. With all its many things going on, but it's still just when we land, didn't it feel good to be back on the soil?
Yeah.
See what's going on in Charlotte, North Carolina, and see our people and see your people, your boy, and my girl and my granddaughter. And
I'd like to know that you went and saw Top Gun yesterday and you were refusing to do it. So tell me a little bit about that.
Okay.
The refusal.
This is really
and
bad.
then
this is actually important.
What occurred?
This is actually important.
Is it?
I was wrong. I saw the previews of Top Gun, and I know everyone else is like, oh yeah, I want to go see Top Gun. Because I'm older and Tom Cruise is older. He's actually younger than me. It doesn't matter, but we're both older. I looked at that movie in the previews and I went, oh my God, there is no way I'm going to go see this movie because he just can't let go, right? Tom Cruise, in my mind, just can't let go. He's still jumping on Oprah's couch, and I'm like, Tom, you need to act your age. So I like
Said Liz Hilliard.
I nixed it, and because I'm also
I think it's so
older,
ridiculous.
and so everybody else is like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to go see it because the first Top Gun, and I loved the first Top Gun.
That's why I was so confused why you wouldn't go see it if you loved it. Like,
Because I thought he was going
great.
to try to remake it in his old. I thought he was going to try to be young again. Try to.
Well, it's working for him.
Okay, but he didn't. He played
Uh-huh.
his age. I mean, I shed a tear.
Really?
I shed a tear.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I went with my daughter and granddaughter,
Mhm.
and it was excellent. I mean,
Well, here's the
storyline
game.
was excellent.
I'm going to slip it now. Tell us, all listening and watching, 2 things you loved about Top Gun.
The fact that Tom Cruise is smoking hot still, and he doesn't pretend he's like not his age.
Okay.
Okay, there's a scene on the beach where I leaned over to my daughter and I went, he's still got it. I mean, it was like 100%. He's smoking hot. Number one. But really, the storyline, it was about I'm not gonna tell you what it was about. You got to go see it. Pay your money and go see it. He needs.
I bet it would be good in the big screen because it's the fighter jets.
Oh, you need to go.
Right.
I want to. And today in your workout, I'll tell you this:
Mhm.
it inspired. Go see it because it inspired me. You all say all the time, "We inspire you." Here's some inspiration to work out. I saw how everybody in this film was in great shape because they're all fighter pilots, right? And I was watching what they were doing, and then especially Tom Cruise, and he's hanging with 20-year-olds, and he's holding his own. So I went today. I'm in class. I'm like, I didn't miss a beat. I was sweating, especially it was really hot in there, but I was sweating like crazy. You taught a great class.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, post travels, we have a little bit of an uphill battle being in Top Gun kind of shape.
Oh, and the pasta thing. Tell them how much pasta you had.
Well, I don't know overall, but at the end, like 2-a-days.
2-a-days.
Like lunch and dinner.
2-a-days. Me too. Yeah.
Too much, but it was delicious. I was done at the end.
I was too. I'm done with it.
Put a fork in it. I'm done.
However,
you got to go and enjoy
the
it.
air conditioning guy's coming in a little while, and when he comes, we have to go to dinner, so we might as well go Volo and have some
Relive
pasta.
the Italian. Oh, also another Italian restaurant we're going to try here is Ever Andalo. The only Americans we ran into in Italy, speaking of bringing this full circle, were Jamie and Jeff, who own the amazing restaurants in Charlotte. Supperland, of course, everybody knows. They just reopened Crepe Cellar as Ever Andalo. They've got another one in the works, and I think I'm probably missing one. But they are the cutest family. We've run into them in town and kind of know them, and they had their kids there. It was the hottest day. And this is exactly who we were talking to in Rome that I was like, they're with their kids. They literally
and I wouldn't
landed that day and exhausted. And you really wanted to chit chat. I was like, let's let them go. Their kids are like dripping with sweat, but we were happy to see them. And I hope y'all are having a great time in Italy. But I'd already looked at their menu because that's what I do before I go anywhere, and got excited because we were going to join our 2 friends there one time and it didn't work out. So we still got to go. But that seems very authentically
we're going
Italian. I mean,
and
they are,
Moda,
he's
right?
from Italy, and they were going to research, and see the homeland. But I don't know. That just made me think
That's a great thing. They went to research the food.
I mean, they were vacationing with their family, but they're actually from an area called Andalo, Ever Andalo, or near it. And they were going on a really long adventure. So we ran into them the day out. You did your talk too long, and we're going to go see them in Charlotte and get back on our pasta chain.
But yeah, we are definitely going to get back on the pasta chain. I mean, no, we're going to definitely go to the restaurant, but not get back on the pasta chain. It's
Everything
not going to become a daily
moderation.
2 a day, right?
That's right.
Right, because you are what you eat, and yeah.
It shows. Anyway, I digress. Okay, I'm going to loop back to the movies.
Yes.
What movie do we next have to see?
Oh my gosh, we have to see Elvis. And everyevery's saying, okay, not everybody. All I know is Phil Wood, who's up on a docket for us to interview soon, maybe even next week. He's losing his mind over it. He loves it.
Are you sure? Or had he seen Top Gun 6 times?
Well, I can't speak for Phil. I'm going to let him do it when he's on the podcast.
Okay, we'll ask.
But I believe he likes Elvis. And I am of the generation. I grew up on a rocking horse when I was like 3 years old. My sister was 13 years older than me. So everything. I listen to the 50s music, that stuff. And I remember rocking my rocking horse to Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog. And I grew up in the generation where the Beatles were the thing and the Rolling Stones. And I didn't like Elvis. But this little hottie playing Elvis, I don't know who he is. He looks better than Elvis. So I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's on the list. And now in today's pressure cooker moment, what would you like to ask me 2 things about?
Oh, I want to know everything about you. Like, how did you get here? No, don't make me ask you these 2 things. I have, okay.
It's
I
a rule.
have it. Okay, it's a rule. And you would think after all this time, I would like have thought that through, but I never think about it.
No, that's what's fun for me.
Right. It's like talking to a cat. So if you couldn't travel outside of the United States and you wanted to broaden your horizons, where would you travel to?
What are 2 things you would do? You're not quite playing the game, but I'm gonna.
I've got the one thing. The one thing is, not everybody's got the wherewithal to hop on a plane and go to Europe right now. If you want to broaden your horizons, and do you need for me to define what that means or something?
No.
Okay.
I just
like, where would you travel in the United States?
You want
that
2
you
places.
Could travel under $500. Bam.
You just want to hear 2 places I would travel in the U.S. on a budget.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just laughing because it's not quite the way the game's played, but I'm cool with it. I'm going to try to answer your question to the best of my ability. Okay, so first of all,
I know it's Concord.
You got to drive Concord. I want to go see your home.
I know you do.
Stead, which I've seen. It'd have to be drivable, and I mean, it's always going to be beach for me. And
really? You like the mountains? Okay, it's your hand. It's your. You go. Sorry, interrupted.
I am choosing number 1, somewhere near the beach that's drivable, and somewhere I've never been. And so, I haven't really spent any time in Savannah.
Wait, can I answer your question?
Of course you can.
Okay, because I want to give a shout out to my favorite people.
What?
If you want to go to the beach and you want to go under $500, you go to the Seaview Inn at Pawleys Island.
Okay.
If I've done the wrong thing, because we don't want people to discover this.
Right. Well, it's our hidden gem. And
it's
2,
hidden gem.
Part of my answer, not your answer, was if I want to discover something new is to not go to a place we go to every year.
Point.
Okay, so number 1 is Savannah. And number 2, I don't know, Nashville. I've been, so then I'm cutting my own rule. But like music, I think that's inspiring.
Have you really been to Nashville?
Yeah, I've been to Nashville.
Okay. Why didn't
I ran a half marathon when I did silly things like that.
It's not silly.
It's not silly at all. I just can't do it. I'm so bad at running, but I did it. I ran it with my dad.
Oh, that's right. You did tell me about that.
And it was a rock and roll country music marathon. And we drove there and had a great time. And they have music along the way.
Yeah.
So
there's really cool things to do, right? Okay, you answered my questions. Did we?
I think that game's done today.
That game is. I think it's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have a sharp right or left.
I'm thrilled. I love sharp anything. Let's go. I'm ready to go. Shoot.
Well, if you want to talk about it, I didn't realize yesterday was your dad's birthday, 7/11, which I think is a really great number.
Yeah.
For good numerology for me. My son's 7/10, and so 7/11.
7/11.
And I just want to know
about my daddy.
Yeah.
I look just like him.
I know. So you told me that today his birthday was yesterday, and then I thought, I'm so glad for him. You said because he's not living.
Well, he died when I was 16.
Right. And
that was not.
You were like, so I mean, it's not like we have to wish him happy birthday. I said no, but I want to because I want to thank him for giving me you. And I know you're a lot like him.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I am. I think I'm a bit like my mom, but I mean,
of course,
I think I'm like my dad too. I think I'm a lot like my dad. I know my physique, my body, myself. I look like my daddy, and he gave me the greatest advice. He always gave me great advice. I mean, he was just, he didn't live. Remember, I'm 16, and God, he was cool. He was he's a World War II veteran.
Yeah.
He was
Do you
in,
know where he went?
yeah, I knew he went to the quote unquote China theater. And that,
Right.
and they're all, it was very, I mean, it's kind of neat to be living in 2022 and have, you know, access to letters from World War II.
Mhm.
Actually, my sister has them. And he used to write my mother, and I'm not kidding. That maybe three-fourths of it was blacked out by the government.
Whoa, whoa,
So
whoa.
he was in some sort of secret kind of situation,
Right.
corps or something, where I don't know
Couldn't
that he
know
was a
anything about
spy or
where he
anything. That
was.
everything he said was just blacked out.
Wow.
And just like most veterans, or any veteran of any war I've ever run into, no one wants to talk about it.
Mhm.
And we talked about this when we were in Europe, going through the, you know, back countries and the villages of Italy. That's where many of y'all's grandparents, my father, or maybe he wasn't, he was in China, but, you know, in places out of here, he never, ever, ever wanted to go travel the world because
Right,
he had
right.
seen the world in the
In a
most
different way.
horrible, horrible
Mhm. Mhm.
situation. And yeah, that reminds me also. Anyway, so my dad was involved in World War II. He was also he was really a really nice guy. What do you want me to say about my dad?
Well, I mean, what did
Yeah.
he do? I think
My dad was terrible in business and a great, loving husband. My mother and dad had a love affair, a
Oh, I love
real
that.
love affair. He was her second husband. She had become pregnant isn't that interesting? At 17
Mm.
and had a child,
Mhm.
right? And he asked her to marry him after my mother had two children. Oh, can I tell a real quick story about my mother? So
Absolutely.
my mother got married at 17 because guess what? There was no option. She got pregnant, and it runs in our family, right?
Apparently.
And so she got married to this guy who, unbeknownst to her, also had another woman pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
It's now funny. It's funny now because she really landed on her feet. Now she's the
Right,
ultimate
right.
cat.
Right.
So he had another woman pregnant, and he went to the hospital when my mother's going to deliver my sister, who's
Right.
13 years older than me, and says, "Oh, please forgive me for all of our fights. Just write me a check. Write me a check. I'm going out today and get us an apartment for us and our new baby." Anyway, long story short, he took off with all of her money, which was very little.
Oh my God.
Left her high and dry in the hospital with my older sister of 13 years. And my mom had to come home to her parents' house
Wow.
and start her life there. So, anywho, get back to
That's
my dad.
very serious.
That was some
Right.
serious stuff. So she runs into my dad maybe 2 years later.
Okay.
She's got like a 2-year-old, 3-year-old. I can't remember what the exact time frame is.
One child.
One child.
Right.
Her first child died. A drunk doctor. Our family is full of
Wait.
stories.
So
Yeah.
not your sister, previous to
There
your
was a
sister.
daughter born to my mother. The reason she got married when she was 17. She
Oh.
had a daughter named Beverly. There was a heart defect, and according to
Wow.
my mama, she said that the surgeon that was operating on him was intoxicated, and anyway, she died. Who knows? My
Mm.
mom's not here to talk to me about that right now. She might correct me and say, "No, he wasn't actually." That
Mhm.
was my story. That's
Right.
So here's the gist. So the beauty of the love story is my dad's getting ready to go to World War II, and he's 30 or 32.
Mhm.
And that was old, super old. Like,
Yeah.
but he was like volunteering, going into some special forces thing and going and spying or doing whatever they would. I don't know exactly what he was doing. My brother, should he still be here, would be able to tell us. But she was like, "Nope, I'm not going to marry you. You need to come home alive, and I'll consider it." I thought that was
That's
kind of ballsy.
yeah.
Here she
Very.
is. She's got a child to support.
So she could have easily.
She could have easily married him and
Right.
at least looked legit. I mean, that was a big deal back then.
Do you think it was more out of kind of that badass
My mother
style,
was a badass,
or
that's
like
for
that?
sure.
I don't like that's too hard for me
No.
to marry you and you go off.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 50-50 on that
50-50.
one.
Okay.
She was stubborn, as in, I'm not going to put myself through any more
Right.
hardship than my life has already been. I mean,
Not
it was
gonna
tough.
let another man run me
Yeah,
over.
one guy left me for another woman who, by the way, my sister ran into in a debutante ball one time, and she thought she was looking in the mirror at herself because they were the
Oh,
same age.
whoa.
Anyhow, that's a whole nother story. We should tell family stories over and over. Mine is
They're
rich. I'm
so
sure y'all have
good.
these rich stories. But my dad did come home, and whoa! I mean, my brother and I were born. My brother was still 5 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
We knew first party that their couple, they were so
Oh.
in love, and he died, when she was in her 50s, early 50s, and I was 16, and she just
So at that point, how long had they been married?
not but like 16 years or something. I mean,
Right.
not that long,
Right.
16, 17 years.
Oh, wait, we could do the math
We
better
could
on
do some
that.
math.
But
We're not going to do that.
I get it now with your older brother. And then
so
you, when you
not
were
to throw my
16.
dad under the bus, because he did start a shoe store. I said he wasn't a good businessman. He was a good businessman, but he was a better humanitarian than a businessman.
Ah.
And I would hope that I am too. Because what happened with his business is he started a shoe store in
Mhm.
Concord, North Carolina. They had met in Charlotte right after the war, and they both worked for a shoe store. And he went, well, heck with that. I can make that my job. So he
Love that.
opened a shoe store on the square of Concord, North Carolina. And it was called Clary's shoe store.
Your maiden name,
My
their
maiden
last
name
name.
and my daughter's
Mhm.
name. And it was highly successful. They did real well. I mean, he
I
had
love that.
my really good stuff. But it burned down when I
Yeah.
was 3 years old. And my dad, instead of declaring bankruptcy, paid back all of his creditors himself. We moved out of our house. I'm not making this up. We lived in a place called Beverly Hills in Concord, North Carolina. And it was the nicer neighborhood. And we moved into a much lesser neighborhood. And I was a little kid, so it didn't matter to me where I lived.
Right.
But he paid back all of his creditors. And then he became a traveling salesman, selling band instruments for a guy
For
here in
schools?
Charlotte. Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's
why
why
I
you played the
flute.
flute.
Yeah, I had a great
I
deal
wish
on
you
my
could find
flute.
one. You should play on the podcast.
Oh, I shouldn't. It would be bad. No one would listen. Anyway, I got off on my dad. That was a long
No,
one.
I think that's really important. I mean, I love hearing stories like that. And I remember a few minutes ago, I was kind of surprised by that. Wait, there was one more baby. And I do know these stories. We've told these stories,
yeah.
but that's what's fun to, after a while,
Yeah.
kind of go back and think about it. And what I hear are little smidgens of you describing other people that actually describe you.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the physical, semblance that you have for your father is one, but some of the personality traits that you picked up from your mom and from him, the strength of her as a woman, maybe her stubbornness, the humanitarianism of him, the bravery. I think all those things, if you take the time to learn those stories, really you either can identify with or not, but also admire and understand those who came before you.
And it helps. It's good to hear those stories and to tell your kids or your friend or your lover. You're my lover today.
Oh, thank you.
You're not my partner. I like calling you your
Whatever.
lover.
I like it.
So are telling your people that, because the stories are rich. I bet you my stories in my family aren't any richer than anybody else's.
Sure.
It's just, and thank you for asking about my dad, because I resonate with him 100%. I've always felt like right before he died, he took me on a walk. I'll never forget, because he had to walk back then. He could have had probably 5 years, 10 years later, he would have been alive, but they didn't have bypass surgery and all these sort of things. So he knew he was on death's door. And we went on a couple of walks, like every day. He'd go with me. I have to walk. The doctor says I have to walk. And he would just tell me life things. And all of them, he just had me just listening, like noblesse oblige, those kind of things, like
all the things he wanted to say.
He said those things, all the things. Treat people well.
Right.
Do unto others. But he was not, even though he was biblical, he was not doing that sort of treatment.
That was your mama.
It was more, my mother was beating me with the Bible, but he was just really.
Is there one of those things you remember the most, or is it just this summation
it's
of fatherly wisdom?
He left me a note when he gave me that was back when I had a red telephone, a dial phone.
Yeah, of course.
I was 16. And it's just a note. I wish I'd kept all these things. And it was funny. It was like basically come see me sometime now that you've got this telephone in your room. And
Oh,
yeah,
cute.
I really regret that and maybe they are somewhere and I need to look them up, but I was 16 and that was a while back.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I feel like I embody him. I feel like he's in me.
I love that.
I know it. I mean, I feel it. And my mother too, but, and
Mhm.
that's like, I don't think, our lives, our bodies die, but I can feel my dad right now. Right now. So yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's powerful.
Yeah. I feel it. I feel it.
Do you want to talk about Libba post that, how she survived, her strength as a single mom at that time whose husband?
Well, how about this? How about your mad? They had this like, you should see the way she would doll up before he would come home.
Oh,
I
hang
mean,
on. I want to start there because I wanted to ask you that before and I didn't. So was there, when you say they had a real love affair,
yeah.
you all could tell as children, it was evident
Yeah.
that they expressed their love. It's not like you later read all their love letters.
No.
Okay.
No. We saw it every day.
Did you like that or were you like, ew?
No, it was like a thing. We knew it. No,
Okay.
we weren't really ew. We just knew they disappeared in their room for a long time. and we just went outside and played and, and they were just so loving to each other.
Hmm.
And also it was not a father's knows best 1950s kind of thing. My parents in the 50s and 60s where I grew up, as a young child were really equal.
Mm.
Now, they might not have been, she couldn't be the deacon in the church like he was the president of the deacons, but she could stand up in church and she was the only woman that did it and speak her mind clearly with my father supporting her. So they were real equal footing. And they were also, one was a Republican, one was a Democrat.
I love that.
I remember my dad was going to vote for, I guess he was going to vote for Nixon against Kennedy.
Yeah, you told me this.
Oh, no, I'm voting for Jack Kennedy. He is so much cuter and he's so much smarter. And they would have these discussions about politics at the table, which really, really, really helped me sort of shape into who I was.
Absolutely.
And I hope people do that some, hearing your parents disagree, but
right.
But lovingly, like they never yell. I never once heard my parents yell at each other.
I love that.
Not once. Oh. But I saw them kissing a lot and that was rough.
And you saw them disagreeing in a productive way.
Yeah.
Or conversing, not even disagreeing.
Oh, no, yeah. And it was nurtured in my household. And I said that in the book I wrote. I said this. My education was at that table.
Right. Absolutely.
And it sometimes was in the family room where we were watching, Beverly Hillbillies or Andy Griffith, but it was mostly around that kitchen table where everybody was not required, but it was an unspoken thing that you didn't just eat your food and leave.
Right.
We sat and we talked. My parents had coffee. We just sat there with our milk going. I'm going, what? What's the Cold War? What?
Yeah.
What's a mercenary? And then I figured out what a mercenary was. And they were talking about a mercenary. And I was like 7 years old and went, I'm not a paid soldier. And my sister and brother laughed, still laugh about that. You had to grasp on where you could on conversations. They weren't trying to explain the world. They were speaking. And
you had to enter in the conversation. They weren't speaking down to you.
Right. And we didn't have a phone where we could Google what they were talking about.
Exactly.
We were just listening. And then when you got your words in, you went after it.
So you use your time wisely.
I had to use your time wisely. I was a sponge. I just listened mostly. But my sister and brother went at it. And, then I finally found my voice and I jumped in the fray. It was a great thing. I mean, hindsight's 20/20, right? I'm sure there was some bad times, but yeah, it was. At least I know I was able to express. And so for me to have shut down in my adult years, after what we talked about 2 times ago with all that abortion stuff, that was a shame. My dad had died then. And, that's just that. But you know what? It's not a shame.
No,
it's actually my power.
That's exactly right.
So
I don't think you've said this yet. And if you don't feel like sharing, I'm going to say it. We can delete it if you don't. But how you feel now the teeth have released you after telling your story about abortion. I think that's an important.
That is more than subtle. It literally is a visual of clamped down teeth that just released. And I am I almost look at me before I told my story of being 17 and pregnant as how could I have lived all those years and not told even my best friends
Wow,
or
yeah.
husband or child or anybody in my life? No one knew. And that it felt like it controlled that secret. Secrets control you. But that secret was the shame. It was the shame and the I'm just a tramp. I'm a piece of dirt. I'm trash. And if anybody knew that I was really
Sure.
trash, they wouldn't have a thing to do with me.
Right.
And that without even consciously thinking that, it was ingrained into my psyche. And so I hadn't thought that through in a long time, that as soon as I told that story,
Wow.
it's like it dissolved.
Mhm.
But it was also like an opening of teeth, and I was just released. So
Good.
yeah, that's fascinating to me. I had no idea that would happen. I thought I was doing okay.
What do you see?
There's
here?
people coming up in my driveway.
Are they here to fix the? Oh, they are.
Oh, here comes
the air conditioning.
Oh my goodness! Yes.
Well,
Patterson.
I mean, I think we can wrap it up because I think the air conditioning
or
is
we
important.
Could pause it. Yeah. The air
Well,
the
I
air
mean, I
conditioning
think
is super important.
that wins. We could, but I do think that's a great place to land the plane about family matters and how they shape the threads of who we are.
Right.
And I think, you've had a long experienced life, and it's nice to reflect on that.
It is, and it is, and I just want to say you said something about my dad and my mom's bravery and their courage and their directness, and it might have taken me 68 years to say that, but I'm proud that I did.
Good.
Yeah, and the reason I'm proud that I did is because I want that same unleashing those teeth to come out of other people. And I had a client come up to me today, tears streaming down her face, a different one, that said, I know exactly what you're talking about. I was there. And I said, you use whatever platform you have.
That's right.
Maybe it's not telling the world. Maybe you're not ready.
Sure.
But do the things you can do to help others not
Unleash
have to
that pain.
Have the pain. And that's what we're here for, is to help others live their lives more fully and more understandingly, and understand that we all have these things in our lives that feel impossible. They feel impossible, but it
doesn't matter how big or small. A lot of things feel impossible at different days.
Especially with community, especially with people that love you and accept you. And if they don't love and accept you, they're not your people.
That's right. I was going to say, you will find there are people who do, if you're unfortunately feeling like you don't. And we do.
We do. We're going to get into your story next. I'm not sure what that is. Something you've been holding back.
We'll see. Let me think on that. Let me think on that.
Be the two questions next time is going to be, what have you been holding back? I mean, you're kind of an open book, right? Yeah. Well,
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
Oh,
so
well, that was fun.
Are we good? Is this?
Yeah, we're good.
It's really fun.
We got to go fix your jet lag, get some AC, and come back at it.
It's hot. We're tired.
You look good.
Who is
We're
it?
here.
Who is it? It's hot outside. You're tired. We're with you. Let's all go out and tell our stories and empower each other. Okay?
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to us today, wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, you can now find our podcast on YouTube.
Yeah. If you liked it, please share, rate, and review. We love 5 stars. And we hope you'll work out with us online or in studio at HilliardStudioMethod.com.